Before the bell ever echoed through the arena, a strange stillness hovered in the air, the kind of silence that happens right before a storm breaks. The lights dimmed, fans shifted forward in their seats, and the ring glowed like a stage awaiting its actors. This wasn't just another cruiserweight title defense. This was the night the world would watch two very different fighters collide. The Ukrainian maestro with golden hands, Oleksandr Usyk, against the tough, compact, puzzle-like disruptor from South Africa, Thabiso "The Rock" Mchunu. You could almost taste the tension. Usyk marched toward the ring with the quiet confidence of an Olympic gold medalist, a man whose footwork and rhythm seemed born from a different dimension. His expression was calm, mischievous even, as though he already knew where every punch would land minutes before it happened. And across from him, crouched low and blinking through the bright lights, was Mchunu, shorter, sharper, built like a coiled spring waiting to erupt. His movements were deceptive, his rhythm unpredictable, the kind of opponent who could frustrate even the most polished champions. As the referee delivered the final instructions, both men listened without blinking. "Keep it clean," he said. "Protect yourselves at all times." A handshake, a retreat to the corners, and the crowd stirred like a single living creature. For Usyk, this was the beginning of a journey toward worldwide dominance. For Mchunu, this was his chance to shock the world, to prove that awkward angles and perfect timing can dethrone anyone. When the bell rang, they stepped toward each other, one man bouncing lightly, the other gliding like a ghost, and the theater of violence began. The early rounds played out like a high-level chess match disguised as a fistfight. Usyk, known for launching his destructive left hand like a scythe, didn't fire it at all in the opening stanza. Instead, he studied, he probed, he watched Mchunu's every twitch, every short slip, every feint. Mchunu, meanwhile, surprised the crowd by stepping into range first, darting in with that sneaky right hook. A punch that had given world-class fighters trouble long before this night. His rhythm was strange, almost offbeat, like a drummer intentionally playing against the song. Usyk respected it. You could see it in the small hesitations, the cautious foot placements, the decisions to jab instead of commit. For the first time in a long time, Usyk wasn't the one dictating. He was reacting. Commentators noticed immediately. He hasn't thrown a single left hand this round. Mchunu's awkwardness, his timing, his ability to disappear from a punch's path at the last instant. All of it forced Usyk into a temporary pause. Mchunu popped him with a clean jab, then another. The South African wasn't just surviving. He was winning these exchanges, however small they were. Usyk's corner urged patience, telling him not to chase, not to get drawn into the awkward rhythm. But even patience has limits when pride is involved. A champion watching rounds slip away doesn't stay calm forever. Still, Usyk stayed composed, circling, reading, downloading data like a machine. Across from him, Mchunu grew more confident, slipping inside, firing short counter rights, making Usyk miss by inches, and tagging him with shots that made the crowd gasp. For those early rounds, it felt like Mchunu had cracked the code, like he had found a way to keep the Ukrainian genius uncomfortable. But with Usyk, discomfort is only the prelude to something far more dangerous. By the middle rounds, the electricity in the arena had changed. Usyk's eyes sharpened, his shoulders loosened. The footwork that had seemed cautious in the early going began to take shape, his patterns forming tighter, sharper angles, slowly trapping Mchunu in a rhythmic web. Still, the South African refused to fold. His right hook kept landing, not with knockout power, but with enough sting to demand respect. His jab, flicked upward with deceptive speed, kept disrupting the Ukrainian's timing. For a moment, it felt as if Mchunu might actually be outsmarting the man many believed to be the future of the division. But slowly, the tide began shifting. Usyk started letting single left hands go, testing the distance, cracking through the guard, touching Mchunu in places he had been safe in earlier rounds. He began doubling the jab, stepping in off angles that even seasoned champions struggle to read. Then came the body shots. Subtle at first, but purposeful. Usyk's hands, known for their precision, began slicing through gaps. He pivoted to his right, snapped a left to the body, pivoted left, clipped Mchunu with a counter. He was starting to solve the puzzle. The commentators saw it unfolding. "He's found the rhythm," they said. And they were right. Usyk's punches suddenly had more snap, more intent. Mchunu, who had been darting in and out so confidently, now found himself reacting a beat late. He still landed counters, still showed heart, but Usyk was turning the fight into something different. Not chaos, not brawling, but controlled dismantling. The class difference was beginning to show. The crowd could sense it. Usyk wasn't going to rush the knockout. He was going to engineer it piece by piece. Round 6 became the turning point, the moment where Usyk, the patient technician, transformed into the ruthless finisher. He opened the round with an avalanche of activity, jabs, feints, hooks upstairs, and those slicing left hands that came from angles Mchunu couldn't anticipate. The South African fought bravely, firing back whenever he saw an inch of daylight, but Usyk's pressure intensified. For the first time in the fight, Mchunu's reaction slowed. His legs, which had carried him safely for 5 rounds, began to betray him. Usyk sensed it instantly. He pressed forward, not recklessly, but with the careful hunger of a champion who knows the tide has fully turned. Then came the moment that shifted everything. A sharp, unexpected left uppercut that snuck beneath Mchunu's guard. The punch snapped his head upward, his legs buckled, and he stumbled backward as Usyk swarmed. A follow-up left clicked him behind the ear as he fell, and the crowd erupted. Mchunu rose, brave as ever, but the momentum had been shattered. The commentators debated the knockdown, but everyone saw the damage in Mchunu's eyes. Usyk, now completely dialed in, became a storm of precision. His hands fluttered in combinations. His feet carried him around Mchunu like a dancer circling a slowing opponent. He turned punches over perfectly, mixing body and head shots, turning defense into offense with frightening ease. Mchunu attempted to fire back, landing a couple of respectable counters, but Usyk walked through them with the confidence of a man who had finally cracked the code. The shift in energy was unmistakable. The arena felt it, Mchunu felt it, and Usyk knew it. The fight had entered the phase where champions separate themselves from contenders. Round 9 was the crescendo, the moment where all the tension, all the reading, all the adjustments snapped into a single violent conclusion. Usyk exploded out of his corner, bouncing on his toes, the rhythm of a man who smelled blood. Mchunu tried to stay elusive, dipping low, slipping punches, pawing with his jab, but Usyk was no longer chasing ghosts. He cut the ring beautifully, stepping around Mchunu with surgical precision, forcing exchanges on his own terms. The Ukrainian began releasing combinations with frightening fluidity, double jabs, right hooks, left crosses, uppercuts that split Mchunu's guard like a wedge. The body work was relentless, each shot sinking deeper into Mchunu's ribs, draining the last of his resistance. Then, out of nowhere, Usyk cracked him with another brutal uppercut, the kind of punch that lifts a Mchunu tumbled to the canvas for the second official knockdown. Still, he rose again, refusing to surrender. The bravery was undeniable. But heart alone can't beat geometry. Usyk hunted with cold precision, landing a massive left hand over the top, and Mchunu's legs trembled under him. Again he rose. Again he tried to fight back. But Usyk was no longer boxing. He was finishing. He unleashed a third vicious combination, a right hook, a left cross, and another snapping uppercut, and Mchunu collapsed for the third time. This time, the referee waved it off. The crowd erupted as Usyk stood in the center of the ring, arms raised, breathing steady, like a man who had simply completed another day's work. The storm had ended. The technician had become the executioner. The official announcement echoed through the arena like a final drumbeat. Winner by knockout. Still undefeated, still the WBO cruiserweight champion of the world, Oleksandr Usyk. The crowd rose to its feet, a wave of applause washing across the venue. Usyk, smiling now, allowed the emotion of the victory to warm his expression. Moments earlier, he had been a cold, calculating technician, dismantling a dangerous challenger. Now he was the humble champion again, thanking the crowd, embracing his team, acknowledging Mchunu's toughness. For Thabiso Mchunu, the night ended in heartbreak, but not in shame. He had frustrated the champion, outscored him early, made him think, forced him to adjust. He had shown that even elite fighters can be made uncomfortable, can be drawn into awkward exchanges, can be disarmed by rhythm and timing. But against a fighter like Usyk, a man with footwork molded by thousands of amateur rounds, a man who reads opponents like open books, discomfort is a temporary victory. Usyk's genius appeared in the way he adapted, the way he dismantled the puzzle, the way he transformed from cautious tactician to ruthless closer. The knockout wasn't accidental. It was born from layers of adjustments, layers of timing, layers of pressure, designed to break a man down slowly and beautifully. As the lights dimmed and the cameras zoomed in for final interviews, you could see in Usyk's eyes that this was only the beginning. A champion reasserting his dominance, a master perfecting his craft, a future undisputed king sharpening his tools. Mchunu left the ring bruised but respected. Usyk left it victorious, the echoes of the crowd trailing behind him as he walked toward the destiny everyone knew he was marching toward. Greatness. The night belonged to Oleksandr Usyk, the technician, the entertainer, the destroyer, and the world would remember the night he unraveled the trickiest puzzle of his early championship reign.